Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just saw Justice Society World War II, which is the latest in the DC animated films. And despite the fact that it features Wonder Woman and the Justice Society, being top billed and on the front cover of the film, it's surprisingly a different kind of movie than I initially expected it would be. But then again, DC is full of surprises, now aren't they? Let's get to the story, shall we? The story opens with Barry Allen, aka our universe's Flash, on a date with Iris West. Winnie suddenly has to have that interrupted to help Superman in a fight with Brainiac. However, while in the middle of that fight, he ends up tapping into the Speed Force and he goes back in time to World War II, where the Justice Society of America is taking on Nazis in World War II, and he ends up being roped in to help them out. He ends up finding out that not only is this not exactly the past that's known through American textbooks, but he also manages to find several other heroes and some in areas where he never would have expected in World War II, and some of which on sides he never thought they'd see them in. While this is generally new to this rebooted timeline's Barry Allen, it's going to be very shocking to see some of these characters for a lot of you, especially considering the positions they end up in and seeing who they're allied with. But then again, since it's an alternate universe World War II on a place that's apparently on a different Earth than the one that's in the opening, it does make sense that these convoluted alternate timelines would cause this sort of change. So yeah, not only is this more of a Barry Allen film than initially expected, but it ended up essentially feeling more like an introduction to how this batch of DC films would eventually make the Justice League. But when it comes to that respect, I don't see it as that bad of an idea. Having the Flash go back in time to the Justice Society of America is a good way for us to be introduced to said concept back in World War II, when the DC comics really started to hit their stride when it came to the World War II era, and seeing some characters being allies and some being villains in positions that we didn't ever think they'd be in is certainly shocking for me, as for someone who has seen several versions of these characters and has never seen at least one of these concepts before in a DC movie before. While it still keeps the good animation and the fun fight scenes that keep us coming back to DC, of course. Also, I do think the voice cast is really well done, particularly the voice actors they got for Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor, Hourman, and Hawkman. Plus, it feels like almost every member of said Justice Society, while they're not the main centerpiece of the story, they all at least get their moments to shine. And nobody feels ungodly left out. And everyone gets at least one big hero moment of their own. Though the majority of them are, of course, taken up by Flash, Wonder Woman, and the Jay Garrick Flash. I actually appreciated the relationship between Barry Allen's Flash and the Jay Garrick Flash, considering they're the two who know about the Speed Force, so therefore naturally they bond a little bit over it. And of course, as someone who enjoyed the Wonder Woman 2017 film, seeing Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman again surprisingly worked better here than it did in Wonder Woman 1984. I have no idea how that would work, but that should show you how convoluted Wonder Woman 1984 was. But overall, it's definitely not a required viewing, but it's an interesting alternate history take on DC that I wouldn't mind seeing more of. That's why I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. See you next time.